Welcome to It's Not the Weekly Poll, it's Absolute Comics, brought to you by G Fuel, where you can get 30% off of your order of G Fuel right now by going and using our code COMICS. Special deal happening. I'm not quite sure when it's going to end, so if depending on when you watch this, if it's 10%, that's our normal deal. But they are a sponsor of the show, and we'd love to have you go and get some. I mean, I'm literally drinking the PewDiePie flavor right now, and yes, I've heard he's going on hiatus, and I mean, the man deserves it.
Yeah. He's a workhorse.
Today's Absolute Comics is going to be a bit of an interesting one. It's the end of the year. It is the last episode. I'm stating it now before Sal and I get 50 tweets asking if we already quit Absolute Comics.
It's not over.
You know we're going to get those tweets.
Oh, yeah. Is it over? No.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm Benny, also known as Comic Historian. That is Sal from Comic Pop. Our two channels on YouTube are Comic Pop and Comic Historian. All right, let's get into this. This is the show where we sit down and talk about comic books, comic book news, what's happening in comic books, TV shows, movies, pretty much all of it. It's Absolute Comics. If it's in the world of comics, we try to talk about it. But before everyone asks, the next 2 weeks, there will be no episode. The filming date for this show is technically Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. We're not going live. There will be no filming.
Yeah.
If Sal and I can find a moment to film a Star Wars review, we will, but we're not in a rush.
No, and neither are you, ladies and gentlemen.
Same thing with Doomsday Clock. We'll talk about that when we come back, or not. I don't know. We might try to find time.
There's no way we're not going to talk about Doomsday Clock.
Did you finish Watchmen?
No, I didn't watch a single episode of Watchmen. I know. I gotta check it out. Apparently, it's either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. So I'm
going with the best thing ever, as long as you are not hung up with them changing anything from the original novel, and also as long as you are aware that Watchmen is a very political comic, very right versus left comic, and that the TV show is still going in that direction.
I wouldn't expect anything else. I
love the people that argued about Watchmen. Oh my God, it's so SJW and so leftist, and it's all about racism. Like, did you read Watchmen?
Right?
Like, Watchmen wasn't like superheroes punching people, right? I know Zack Snyder did a very explosive version, but even his movie was very much
just by virtue of it being based off the book happens to also. Nixon didn't really look like that. So, he's saying something.
So, I thought it was an incredible show. The ending is very divisive amongst the fans. Some people are loving it. Some people are hating on it. I don't want to talk anything about it at all because I really think you should watch it because you are a Watchmen fan.
I do like Watchmen. I do like the book Watchmen. And I'm digging on Doomsday Clock. But
I will say, just to kind of get you hyped up for it,
sure.
If you were looking for a conclusion to all of the basically loose endings at the end of Watchmen the comic,
right,
this is where they exist.
Right.
But the show is not about the cast of the Watchmen.
No.
It's a whole new cast, a whole new direction, but they do wrap up and answer everything that you were left like, well, what happened to this and what happened over here?
Okay.
It's a great show. I loved the ending. I thought it was an incredible way to piece it all together.
Is it
I love
over?
the direction. It is over. As far as Damon Lindelof, the guy who did that production, he said that he's open to doing another season, but he closed this where it would be over.
Good. Okay. Because that's the problem with that.
He said he hasn't signed on for another season either. Like, it's not even in talks at the moment. He's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, like, they've literally renewed Picard, and they're not even done shooting the first season. So, like, yeah, if there was going to be more, they would have already greenlit it. So, okay.
Like, there's a few minor questions that are left over from the first season.
Sure.
But overall, it wraps up any loose ends from the comic. It wraps up loose ends from the show. And there's no real big cliffhangers or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're not renewed for a second season. He says he's open to doing it, but they didn't renew it already. So
okay, all right. How many episodes is it? Like 8?
9.
Oh, official. Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out.
So it's interesting. I liked it a lot. I'm actually going to rate it up there with The Boys as one of my favorite superhero shows. So
I like The Boys better than the comic.
Yeah. The show's so much better than the comic for The Boys. The Boys comic is just like, what are you doing? What are you smoking?
I mean, and it's funny because when it does the things from the comic, you're like, I don't know why, but it feels a little more tasteful. So yeah, I'll check it out.
Okay. Other than that, though, we'll probably talk about Doomsday Clock or whatever. But what I'm getting at is, guys, we're taking 2 weeks off after this. There will be no New Year's Eve episode. There will be no Christmas Eve episode. We'll be back after that. And and the plan is when we come back, since nothing will have happened because it was holidays, we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite books of the year.
Yeah.
Now, using that as a segue, before we get into the very few topics we have for today that we're going to talk about, Sal, being that we're at the end of 2019, and this is more of a free float, less very, on the nose episode kind of a deal.
True.
What was your number one? And we'll go through the rest of your picks for the year when we come back.
Yeah.
But what is your number one? You have to pick one story to take to your grave from 2019. What do you take?
Spider-Man Life Story.
I still haven't read that.
It's only 6 issues.
I know, but the covers never looked like a traditional Marvel book, and I always glanced over it and never got it.
No, those are. I think they're done by Zdarsky, and they're very eye-catching.
They are, but because I'm glancing over 50 comics in a week, if it looks like an indie book, I'm not grabbing it just because it looks like an indie book.
And Spider-Man's on every cover. I love
Lies,
the series.
But they're all in different colors anyway. They're not Spider-Man colors.
It's blue and red. One of them is purple. But the point is, okay, so it's 6-issue miniseries. Chip Zdarsky, Mark Bagley. It's basically just what if Spider-Man was 15 when he got his powers in 1962, and he aged in order, and all the stuff that happened to him in the comics, for the most part, still happened. But in linear time. And so, Spider-Man, but in those decades, so it's Spider-Man has a Clone Saga in the 90s, but he's 30 years older. And there was a moment, it's not even the last moment, although it's an explosive finale, but where they take a twist on an old familiar classic and execute it in such a way where I'm like, oh my God. Not only is that perfect for this universe, but I want to see this elsewhere too. It's phenomenal. I loved the series. It distills the character. It cements Zdarsky as a top tier Spider-Man writer for me.
Okay.
I loved another couple of series from this year that were just phenomenal. But as far as my favorite character and the books that came out featuring him, there's no question, Life Story is head and shoulders above the rest.
Okay. For me, I got my top 10 picks of the year.
Yeah.
But I would say... Huh?
I have 8 series. I got to figure out 2 more.
Yeah, we'll talk about what we loved the most about the entire year when we come back, because we're not going to have much else to talk about. No. But the number one, that if I had to pick one story of this year to go down with, Donnie Cates' Venom run.
Oh!
It's completely reinvented a character that I will 100% admit completely checked out on once they got rid of Agent Venom. When he went to space,
most people wrote him off.
I was done. I'm
Myself
a fan
included.
of Venom. I liked Venom. And then, Agent Venom was great. I got on board with that. And then they just, he's in space now. Oh, I'm not reading now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. They really were and clearly there was almost a Marvel-driven agenda where they're make it Eddie Brock. I don't care what you do with it, though. It just has to be Eddie Brock in the suit. And you're
yeah.
Damn it.
And it was horrible, too, because they got rid of Flash Thompson for Lee Price. That was horrible. And then they brought in Eddie Brock, and you're right. It felt like somebody said, you have to do it. Throw it against a wall. And at that point, I was like, wow, there goes one of my favorite superheroes. I don't even care about Venom anymore.
Yeah.
And when Donnie Cates came in, he took the lore of Venom and all the bullshit that came out of them trying to fix him.
Yeah.
And wrapped it all up, concluded it all, brought it all together while creating his own story about Null and Eddie's son. And that's one of the things I liked about the story. It's not just a story about Venom versus Null. It's not just the symbiote. He basically made fully Eddie and the symbiote 2 separate characters with their own plots that they team up and battle against what's going on, be it Null or Eddie's son. And I liked that a lot. I liked how he decided to treat it instead of just being because a lot of writers come in and they're like, oh, it's Eddie Brock, the lunkhead who fights against the Spider-Man, or they're like, oh, it's Venom, the guy that eats brains, and you're like, why can't you do a story about the both of them that works? And that's what I liked.
For the majority of time in the 2000s, the ideas for Eddie Brock were, maybe I'll kill him.
Yeah.
It was Cates that came along and was like, I think I got something here with this guy.
Yeah.
I like it.
And to counter to your point of Zdarsky being a top tier Spider-Man writer, for me that put Cates in a position where I'm like, I will read anything this guy writes.
Right.
Like, and then when I started diving into what he's written, I'm like, I like his writing. It's good. Like,
Yeah. No, it's undisputedly great. Like he's
like
a
I'm not
good
even
writer.
counting his Absolute Carnage event. Like,
Oh yeah, no. Most of the books that came out in 2019 that were excellent were him.
Yeah.
At Marvel, I should say.
yeah.
There's some great stuff, but like Cates, his name is synonymous with quality at this point.
Yeah. No, if you see a Cates on a book, you're like, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to give it a shot.
Even if you're not interested, like that Silver Surfer book, like, oh, it's great.
Or when he reinvented the Guardians and it was like, oh, this team looks like crap. Oh, Cates is writing it? I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that's it. That's my opinion. Like I said, when we get back from the break, we'll go over all of the books we enjoyed this year because I have a lot to talk about. Trust me. It's not just Venom.
no. And I most of the books that I have here, I think this is the only Spider-Man book I have on my list.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
I liked what Spencer did, but like, you know.
Yeah. I liked what Spencer started off with. After the Craven plot, I don't know where he's going with it right now.
Yeah, he's going downhill is where he's going with it. It feels like it's just kind of like...
Well, he was building up that villain. He was building up that villain that we were all getting excited for.
Yeah,
and
let's hit the brakes.
I'm getting a little irritated. Like, I thought we were going to build up the villain, do Craven, go into that villain.
Yeah.
And now it's like, do Craven, now we're going into the future.
Oh my God. Like this 2099 thing, you can tell it's all his brainchild, it's all his idea, and it's like, there's nothing here.
But like, we're not even hinting at that villain again. What's the name of that guy? The one with the
Kindred.
Kindred.
Yeah,
we're not even hinting
idea.
at him anymore.
No.
Like, ever since Craven, Kindred did a thing. We're like, oh, we found out that he might be someone Spider-Man knows. Oh, by the way, forget him. We got to do something with Miguel O'Hara now.
What? Can you imagine being a new reader and jumping on board and being like, what? It's just, it's all over the place. No.
And then I was catching up with 2099, and I'm reading the new Spider-Man one where they're reinventing his origin.
I know.
And I'm like, what is even happening? Where's Miguel O'Hara proper? Like,
I think he's the old guy at the end, which is like, what?
What blows my mind about reinventing Miguel O'Hara is he was literally in books like a year ago.
Yeah.
This isn't like, oh, he's the 90s and we haven't seen him. He was in his own book a year ago.
I know. I know. They've rebooted him at least twice, and no one liked either of them. So.
And they don't know what to do with him, is what it seems like.
Don't do anything!
It seems to me like Marvel's sitting around going, Spider-Man 2099 had a great suit. Everyone loves him. Everyone loves the way he acts.
Yep.
Let's bring him back. And they don't know how to do it. But like you said, don't bring him back or leave him in 2099. Leave him, he's back. He's doing his thing in the future now. Why?
Yep.
You literally have a Spider-Man version of Batman Beyond that predates Batman Beyond. And you won't do it.
I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. It's a cool suit, though.
So, all right, let's go to our first topic that Dan rounded up for us. Jeff Johns says that he is working on the last issue of the Three Jokers story.
Sure.
It's 3 double-sized prestige format issues. He apparently told DC to wait until they knew it would come out on time.
Yeah. I love that line because it's like, who's he blaming?
Yes. That sounds to me like he said, I want to work on this. Don't talk about it until I have like a set date because I don't know when I'll get to it.
Yeah.
And DC was like, 3 Jokers!
I mean, he wrote the stories that introduced the 3 Joker idea. This is far beyond late at this point. Like, it's like...
He's also
Kevin
apparently
Smith,
3/4 or more done with Batman Earth 1 Volume 3.
I know. He said that he was working on that before Doomsday Clock or something. I'm like, what?
So is this just ultimately a situation where Jeff Johns just took on way too many high-profile top projects at the same time?
Well, it's like he announced all of them on the same day. He was talking about he was teasing Earth 3 or Earth 1 Volume 3.
Right.
In the same breath that they had to pitch 3 Jokers and Doomsday Clock at that New York Comic Con 2 years ago. And you're like, wait a minute.
And it's the same team on
and
Earth
Shazam.
3, Earth 1, and Doomsday Clock.
I know.
I mean, that in itself, if they're 3/4 of the way done with Earth 1 Volume 3, I feel like that may be what was bogging down Gary Frank. He had 2 giant
or Gary Frank is faster than we thought, and something else was really delaying Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, that could be also it. Yeah,
because I would have assumed that Gary Frank was like maybe drawing some covers for Earth 1, and then was like, oh, I got to start Doomsday Clock. Because I remember in an interview years ago, Johns said that Frank begged him to be the artist on Doomsday Clock. Right. And so clearly Frank wanted to do the Doomsday Clock story, but also had an obligation to do Earth 1. So my assumption would be that he was like, okay, well, we'll finish Earth 1 when Doomsday Clock is out. I gotta really focus on this one. Put that book aside, finish Doomsday Clock. It's 12 issues, as opposed to Earth 1, which is really one issue. But no, apparently that book's almost done. And he did these. I don't know what the timelines don't add up for me. It's a very odd quote / interview, which you can find on CBR. But like, I don't know, man. The fact that I'm just thankful that Frank didn't draw 3 Jokers. Not that I don't love his art, but like at least there's no more delay.
Yeah, because imagine him being on 3 super high profile things.
We wouldn't get them until 2029. But. Yeah, I'm hyped. I love the idea of 3 Jokers, if only because I know nothing about it.
I know.
And the fact that it's Jeff Johns and Fabok, which is awesome.
Just looking to see if there's any 3 Jokers, but 3 Jokers, Jay and I have been working on it, and we're in the last issue now. It's 3 double-sized prestige format issues.
Yep.
They'll probably be solicited anytime because we're near the finish line, and we waited because we told DC we didn't want it to come out until we knew it would come out on time.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'd rather that than Doomsday Clock it.
Oh my God, no. Especially if it's only 3 issues. 12 issues? Sure. There's some time. 3, especially if it's gonna drop a bomb, which it might. I don't know. I don't know what the hell these books... Part of the hype around these books isn't that, Alan Moore came out of retirement, he's doing a Killing Joke too. It's that these books were supposed to have an impact on the DC universe and explain some stuff. The fact is, I think we're all pretty much on the same page as far as whether these books are going to have any impact or not.
Well, now they're right on the heels of right up on a crisis that's going to reset everything.
Exactly. So how can I get hyped about 3 Jokers when they're going to get merged into 1 Joker at the end? Or what? They're like 3 Jokers is the only thing that doesn't get changed? Like, come on. Like, I don't know. It's nobody. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, man. Like, they don't know what's going on over there. Like, Jeff Johns is doing his own thing because obviously, as you pointed out in the last episode or a previous episode, he's not even an employee of DC Comics. He's an entrepreneur. He's a free agent, just making whatever. So he's just doing what he wants to do, and DC's doing what they have to do.
Right.
And those don't always line up.
No, it's weird because you can tell that Doomsday Clock was supposed to have an effect. Because then we have this Justice League storyline that was supposed to go longer, but now they're cutting that short. And I feel like they're cutting it short because of the Doomsday Clock is going to do something. And we got 3
Thank
Jokers.
God, by the way.
Huh?
Justice League, long enough.
Oh, I know, but it was intended to go longer. Mm-hmm. Like, I was just rereading 37, and I'm like, what is even happening at this point? There's so much going on in this storyline at this point.
I know.
Like, it's like every panel's like, and over here we're doing this, and over here we're doing this, and over here. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
there's so much happening, nothing's happening. Like,
everyone's fighting, and we're just arguing about hope.
Yeah, that's every, that's all of those. But I don't know, man. It's crazy. But here's the thing. On one hand, I'm like, 3 Jokers, well, they'll probably get undone or whatever, who cares? But on the other hand, I would love to know what they were planning and see it executed.
Right, yeah.
So I'm on board. Like, I'm going to read this, especially because I like prestige books. I like self-contained stuff. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this.
Between this stuff and what I'm really digging the Black Label the new format they're going with. I really am enjoying it. Where it's just like, I know that this is going to be 6 issues. Even if it's delayed, it's self-contained. I don't have to worry about it.
Oh yeah. Now, while Black Label has evolved or devolved into something else and other than what they had initially intended, at the very least, it's basically the Elseworlds book, where it's like, this isn't in continuity, unless it is.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it. It's at a weird place right now.
Yeah, but at least we're getting, like self-contained OGNs from DC, and that's kind of what we're getting here. Like that's what Black Label's kind of become, which is great because I love those stuff, like that stuff, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be cool. Hopefully.
Hopefully. I didn't see it on the list here, but I want to bring this up too, talking about comic books in general. Did you end up reading this? I forgot. Golden Child came out.
I sure did.
What did you think? Because I keep forgetting to get. It's like it literally opened up on my computer, and I keep forgetting to read it.
It's ridiculous. It's a Frank Miller book.
Ridiculous in a good way or bad way?
I mean, it really depends on your opinion, because like it's clearly what happened was Frank Miller was like, I have something to say politically about the world outside my window, like right now. And I also know that if anyone's going to read what I have to say, it has to be with Batman. Like I have to use Batman to do it. And thankfully DC loves money, so they made it. And it just so happens that like you get some incidentally cool things, like Carrie Kelly's new Batwoman costume, which is dope looking. Like it's just really cool. Raphael Grandpa.
It's fun to see her character evolving, like going into something. She's for so long only been just Carrie Kelly, the Robin, the female.
I
Robin
love Carrie Kelly. Like the funny thing is, it made me a little sad because Carrie Kelly in Dark Knight Returns is like this kind of, hopeful, directionless, determined young lady who needed, something to believe in, and she finds Batman. Right. And now there's a sequence where she yells at Supergirl, and she is just Batman. Like, it's Batman in a cute young lady, but it's still her being like, you will do as I say, and you will listen when you're told. And I'm like, oh my God, you just became Batman. Like, you're just Bruce. And it's like, while that's tragic and sad that there's like bright, youthful, like what Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns, Bruce Wayne did not want this future for Carrie.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not.
But Frank Miller doesn't care about that anymore, and what she's become instead is kind of more realistic, which is, I brought in this youthful, naive, young teenager, and I gave her Batman. She's gonna become Batman at the end because, like, that's the strongest archetype in her life.
Yeah.
So it works, and it's like it's actually kind of like more honest than if she has this hope inside of her that just constantly battles against the darkness. Like, no, she's just gonna be a little Batman. And that's kind of neat.
Batman. I love the way she's just gonna be a little Batman.
Well, because she's much shorter than he is. It's just like, But it's other than really cool designs and getting Raphael Grandpa on my radar because he's the artist on the book, and I'm like, this is dope looking stuff. It's ultimately, it's not going to be timeless. It's not even really going to be an exciting chapter in the Dark Knight universe that Frank Miller has incidentally created. But it's something, if you're going to read it, you should read it today, in today's world, because it will be wholly irrelevant in a little while.
Right.
And I don't even mean because of the political climate, like because something else will be what the current political climate is, and so it won't look like this. Also, Darkseid's in it, and it's like, why? It's ridiculous.
I get another follow-up that's not even on a schedule. This is a very scatterbrained episode, but I have another question to ask you. I don't know if we talked about this. I don't think we did. Batman 84 gave us the reveal of Flashpoint Batman's history, right?
Yes.
Which we did talk about, I think, because I didn't like the reverse that it went in, and I don't understand why Tom King did that. One thing, I think we may have briefly touched on this, but the art error where Reverse Flash on the treadmill, and he said that that's accurate.
Yeah, that he said he was like, no, I told him to do that. Like,
yeah, I think we did talk about that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. I'm like, why did you do that? No, that's great. Great art though.
Yeah. All right, so the next one's definitely a you question. The X-Men have their own worldwide Court of the Owls to fight.
Yeah, they're peacocks.
Wait, are they peacocks?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we can't use owls.
So we're peacocks.
It's the organization that kidnapped Domino and like made these soldiers that infiltrated Krakoa and shot Xavier. Like, it turns out there's a clandestine organization with a expressionless face on their masks, and they're all rich and they have like suits or dresses, and like, it's many different
birds.
And it's bird themed. I'm like, are you? Unless Hickman's like, I want to make fun of the Court of Owls, then this is derivative and I don't like it. Otherwise, like, But if he's gonna make fun, if he's like, no, I'm making fun of the Court of Owls, I think it's ultimately self-defeating. I think it's ultimately it only works for one story, and every subsequent use of the Court of Owls has never really worked. So making a joke about that, like if he's doing that, if he's Grant Morrising it up, that's great. I don't think he's doing that. I think it's also I think it's Benjamin Percy, so it's not even Hickman. So take that as you will. But yeah, Court of Owls. I mean, they're not, but it's a little shorter name. But otherwise, it's like.
Yeah, I had it pulled up here. It's Xeon.
Yeah.
Or Zion.
Zion, I think. Well,
it's Xeon, however you want to pronounce that.
Zion, I don't know.
Zion, and the Alliance.
Right. Just okay. It's not very long. The funny thing is, it's hard to get outraged about like these weird decisions, like the Golden Girls, like the horticulturists, which is arguably more fun than a ripoff Court of Owls. But these series have an end date, and so if they're gonna wrap it up, I guess that's fine. I don't see them lasting very long. The fact is, the X-Men's greatest villains all live on Krakoa right now. So what are we gonna do? We can't constantly have William Stryker come back to life or whatever. We gotta have something else going on. So, okay, here's some stuff, and they're not quite on. One is racially charged. They want to kill the X-Men specifically. They want to kill mutants, and the other one is also against mutants and they're human beings, but like. They're also not threats that the Avengers are going to deal with, so...
Right.
Okay. And clearly
the Avengers are currently battling against... They just got done with the Ghost Riders. What are they fighting now?
I don't care. I dropped that book like a hot potato.
Really? I like that book.
I could not get into it.
They did a Vampire Civil War, then they fought against Ghost Riders. I can't... What are they fighting now? Dan, help me out. What are they fighting now?
I thought it was still Ghost Rider.
No, that ended last issue.
I can't remember what the Avengers main story is, but definitely Captain Marvel has turned evil and is fighting all the Avengers.
Yes.
I don't think the Avengers have had an issue since they fought Ghost Rider.
No. I think you're right.
And I think they're doing the Captain Marvel thing, yeah. Because they ended that. Ghost Riders had their race, Johnny Blaze. Now we're doing Ghost Rider, King of Hell.
Yep.
He's going to Hotel Inferno right now. Mm-hmm. So he's doing his own thing.
Yeah, he's got his own book.
Yeah. Oh, Starbrand stuff. That's right. They did the origins of Starbrand more. They did more of his history.
Yeah, what is Aaron's hard on for Starbrand, man, in the new universe? Because he loves to reference that stuff and then never do anything with it.
I don't know.
If you remember,
just like the Celestials,
Marvel
we've done nothing with.
Prime or whatever the hell that book was. You remember what I'm talking about? Like when Marvel was like, we got to come up with a rebirth.
Well, they did that, and then they also had the Avengers 1 million BC, which
it was the same issue.
Barely been touched on.
Yeah, because ultimately, what are you going to do with that? I don't know. The only person who's going to do anything with it is Aaron. So, but now that he's off Thor, I guess he has plenty of time to do it, because I don't know who would take over the Avengers. Donnie Cates.
I just love that they so Justice League opened up fighting against their giant Celestials, which went Legend Perpetua, and that story's still going. The Avengers are like, we're going to fight Celestials, turn one into a base, and never reference them again. Let's go fight vampires.
That is so, it is so the world outside my window. It's not even funny. I love how relatable the Avengers are living in their Arctic celestial base. That's not what I'm here for. I got into the Avengers thanks to Bendis and the New Avengers, where it was like, hey, get rid of the robot, bring him down to the street. And the second they brought back Vision, I was like, get out of here, I'm out. I know what you're going to do. It's all going to be magic and bullshit again. And sure enough, it was. We did have a big chunk of time where it was Hickman, and he was like, I got something else planned. And that was like, oh, okay, cool. But at the same time, I like the Avengers when it's about people.
Right. Well, now the Avengers are like, well, does Ghost Rider really a hero? Let's do care. 8 issues exploring the Ghost Rider's history.
Right. I straight up couldn't care less what the guy who doesn't know what Robbie Reyes' origin is has to say about the Ghost Riders. Because he doesn't. He doesn't know who Robbie Reyes is. He keeps making up crap. And it's there's a template. There's a book that came out. Guy has the whole origin laid out for you. And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, the whole Eli origin, all of that is right there in a 12-issue series that is popular. It's not even like everyone ignores that.
It's not a footnote. This isn't like something they whipped up in the early 2000s when Bill Jemas was telling everybody what to do. This is a thing that people read. They used it as a template for the friggin' the show. Yeah. By the way, like, of course, the show also changed it up because they had to make it a Spirit of Vengeance. But, it's a show. It's also Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, come on. But,
All right, moving on from that anger. Kid Cable is getting his own book. Now, I was actually asking our X-Men fans about that the other day. Yeah. Is Kid Cable even still around? Apparently he is. And getting a book.
Yeah, and he's getting a book. I mean, all right. If you like Cable, if you like Cable, you don't know what you're getting because it ain't Cable. It's young Cable. People get getting mad at me because I was on one of our review shows. There's a sequence in the X-Men book where young Cable gives what they perceive to be like an invader a grenade, and I'm like, and I was like, so he meant to kill this guy, and everyone in the comments was like, no, he was just giving him a grenade for fun, and I'm like, well, that's stupid. Like, well, no one would do that. Like, no one would do that unless they wanted them to blow themselves up. But, they did it anyway. And I don't know. I was just kind of like, okay. I don't know. Young Cable is an interesting thing. I really liked Extermination, so I have hope for it. I don't know who's doing it. Do you know who's working on Young Cable?
Jerry Dugan. So I'm excited for it.
Oh, there we go. Well, then it'll be cool. Well, Jerry Dugan.
It'll be comical. It'll be fun. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be its own thing.
This will be the first time that I'm like interested in Young Cable past Extermination. So, because Jerry Dugan knows what he's doing. Hopefully, he'll give the character some like life and personality that I'm interested in. He will because it's Jerry Dugan. It's better than whatever we're getting.
I do want to backpedal just a little bit. I am trying to move this a little bit quickly because I've got things going on that I have to get out of here for.
Stuff to do. Yeah.
But chat is reminding me. So I want to go back on this Ghost Rider topic for a moment.
Yeah, let's talk about Ghost Rider.
Well, because I'm a fan of Ghost Rider. Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch. I do like Robbie Reyes. You are right. Jason Aaron is like crapping all over him. Counter to that, though, I think we needed this.
Right. Because this Eli thing was not going to last.
Well, not even just the Eli thing. I think the problem is when they tried to reinvent the Ghost Rider, okay?
Right.
They did the Eli Morrow thing without really explaining the Spirit of Vengeance thing. They did. Yeah. They basically got rid of a lot of what made Ghost Rider, like Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch, the spirits, the Zazaros, and all these other things. Yeah. What I think they're doing, and I'm not against it, but I do think he's going very crazy into the Robbie Reyes history that he's very vaguely referencing and doesn't seem to know fully what he's doing. I think they're doing is they're trying to make Robbie Reyes like a Ghost Rider in his own right, but not a Spirit of Vengeance, so that they can do Ghost Rider because we have Ghost Rider. Like Johnny Blaze is back.
Do you think that it's like a deliberate thing? So it's like, no. I gave Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider like a whole arc in Avengers so that when I do this epic Ghost Rider thing and Robbie Reyes ain't in it, no one can complain at me.
Yes, I think it's exactly it because it's all about Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch. And the first thing you do would be go, okay, well, where's Alejandro and where's Robbie Reyes? That's right. Because if it's a Ghost Riders kind of event, you want all of them in there. And they killed off Alejandro in the Absolute Carnage event. Yeah. She's gone.
Well, what about Michael Balladino?
What about him?
that's vengeance. What about fake Ghost Rider from the 90s? I guarantee you vengeance is coming because that book, if you're not reading Ghost Rider, the series, they actually did something interesting. And I only know this because Tiffany read it because Tiffany is the world's biggest Danny Ketch fan. Despite the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider episodes we've done at back issues where she talks about like what a loser he is.
That's what I think is the lovable part about Danny Ketch, though. He is such a loser,
right?
And he's like, a Ghost Rider.
He is a huge loser, and he like constantly falls over, and people steal his bike, and he doesn't even have the Spirit of Vengeance. A good 30 issues of his run are people showing up and going like, "You're the Spirit of Vengeance. I'm going to kill you," and him going, "I'm not," because he's not.
Even the latest issue where they're trying to convince him to go stop Johnny, and they're like, "You're a Ghost Rider." He's like, "I'm not. I gave it up."
I'm not. I'm straight up not. Him talking to his ex-girlfriend and being like, "We'd still be together if it wasn't for Ghost Rider." And she's like, "No, we'd still be together if you weren't an asshole." And he's like,
exactly.
"Oh." And I Like, that's fucking awesome. Like, that's great. Way to be cool. Like, way to do something interesting with Danny Ketch to evolve him into being interesting.
Right.
So that when we bring him back and we give him the definitive Ghost Rider costume, which is the Danny Ketch suit, no question, right? Like leather jacket, spikes. Yeah. It's the one they put in all the movies.
It is, because the Johnny Blaze one's just so 90s. When Danny Ketch's costume became more iconic because it was the 2000s when Ghost Rider was trying to become a thing with Nicolas Cage. Still love those movies, by the way. I love the Ghost Rider movies.
I don't, but that second one's way better, and it's.
Why don't you like Nick Cage is a great Ghost Rider? Just bees.
I wish they'd gotten him like. You know, it's a mixed bag because like you get younger Nick Cage, but they'd never be able to pull off the effects. But now he's like old and it's weird. The only thing that, man, Spirit of Vengeance would have been amazing if it was set in the American Southwest. But putting it in Prague, I appreciate the fact they were like, we don't have any money, we got to shoot it in Prague, otherwise we won't be able to afford it. But you know, I'm sure Louisiana or Mississippi would have been happy to have you. And giving you all the tax breaks.
Yeah.
But that's the Southeast, but still.
Anyway, what I'm getting at is I'm not against what they're doing with Robbie Reyes. I just find his inclusion and use of weird.
It is weird.
Because they're constantly being like, well, you're a Ghost Rider, but you're not a Ghost Rider, so I'm going to race you because you're a Ghost Rider, but you're not the Spirit of Vengeance. But you got to do what other Ghost Riders do. But here's Eli Morrow, and here's your parents. And
it's like, just don't do that then. Like, if it's that complicated, just don't do that.
Well, they made it complicated when they were like, it's not the Spirit of Vengeance. It's your crazy, psychotic, murderous uncle.
I mean, it was already complicated, but like, if you're gonna try and like clean house, do that. Don't like put it all in one thing and then try to make an epic event out of it. And don't try to put Captain America in it, because he's not gonna know what's happening. The poor old man. He's gonna be like, first of all, I'm in hell, which I don't belong in. Secondly, what? Like, if Captain America's talked to Ghost Rider 3 times, like, Ghost Pepper.
I will agree. I will agree with you on that. I feel it to be the weirdest part about that is like, okay, Thor, Ghost Rider, they've never really spoken, but at least Thor is like mystical and he goes to hell, and that makes sense. Captain Marvel, Ghost Rider, never. Captain America, Ghost Rider, like Ghost Rider is like the Punisher. He exists. People know he's there, but no one talks to him.
But even with Punisher, Punisher was a soldier, Steve's a soldier, you got some parallels there, I get that. Ghost Rider? Like, yeah, so what I do? So Captain America, you're a Sentinel of Liberty, you protect America, you lead the Avengers, I get that, okay. I stare at people and burn their souls out of their bodies and ride a motorcycle. Like, son, I appreciate your effort, but I'm afraid we're just not looking for new applicants right now.
I mean, he's also working with Black Panther and Tony Stark, both of which never... I mean, Black Panther at least goes into the mystical realms.
Right.
Tony Stark is like across the board against magic. Like, he just had a battle with magic and was like, nope. I'm going back to classic armor.
Yeah. No, nope. At the very least, Captain America's turned into a werewolf. So, I mean, like, it's kind of... There's some kind of correlation, but, like, he's not a werewolf in that book. He's just
so far out of the Avengers runs, what I liked that they've done was Blade. Blade showed up, and everyone's like, Blade doesn't fit, and then they get to the point where like, Blade, we don't kill, and he's like, well, I quit.
That's fair. Like that. You know what? That's funny. That's interesting. Like it's consistent. I get it. Like Ghost Rider's just like, it's just too complicated. First of all, his means of conveyance is a friggin' car. You can't all team up in the car. We're not gonna have Iron Man sit shotgun in a friggin' car. Like,
could you imagine that for one moment?
Yeah, they're all just piling in. Road trip. Like, it's not gonna work. It works less with the motorcycle, but like with the car, the whole premise breaks down and everyone looks like an idiot. Like, the problem is with your superhero
Everyone's
things.
flying into battle and he's roaring in with the car.
Seriously, like there's a thing called the willing suspension of disbelief. When you start putting too much crap on top of it, it eventually the table breaks and we're all like, oh wait, this is all kind of silly, isn't it? Like, don't put Ghost Rider on the Avengers.
To close up our Ghost Rider discussion, to close it up.
Yeah,
I am enjoying the Avengers run. I do see your point of view. One of our chatters, Spazzo, says, Avengers have never had any real correlation. Why is it a problem now? That's a question I do want to present to you, because I like him on the team, although I am stating it's kind of all over the place right now.
It's a little all over the place.
But why is it a problem that there's no correlation between the team members? Like, they don't function well.
Well, my issue is that, like, they all kind of, like, complement... They fill a niche, and they all kind of complement each other. It's more just, like, eventually you're going to stack the deck to be, like, too mixed up. I don't know. Ghost Rider doesn't strike me as an Avenger. You know, maybe it's a gut feeling. Maybe it's just, like, it's an arbitrary thing. It's just, like, when Ghost Rider shows up, it makes the whole thing feel kind of silly.
So it'd be almost as if they made an Avengers team and put Conan on it, right?
Which they did.
I know, that's the joke.
But Conan doesn't have magic powers. Conan's just completely confused. Like, and Conan, here's the thing. I've read some Savage Avengers. He's not really on that team. Like, that's not really a team.
He just happens to be around the guys that are functioning as a pseudo team.
They're fighting Kulan Gath or whatever. So, like, he's the guy with the know-how. And better yet, if you read, I think it's the most recent one where it's like, it's Doom, Strange, and Conan. Like, that team up is friggin' amazing because, like, you have some tethers there. Conan hates magic. Strange is a sorcerer. Doctor Doom's a little bit of both. He's a monarch and a magic user. Like, that's some
there's
cool
Wolverine.
Stuff. Ghost Rider with the Avengers is like, first of all, it's young Ghost Rider who's not really a Ghost Rider who's like, hi, I bet none of you know who I am. Like,
yeah, you're saying if it was at least Johnny Blaze, it'd be like, hey, Johnny, been a while. You out of hell again?
I think some of us may have teamed up with you at some point, but probably not. Like, with what's his name? With I keep wanting to say somebody else. I'm like, what is it? What the hell's his name? Ghost Rider.
Robbie Reyes?
Robbie Reyes, thank you. With Robbie Reyes, it's kind of like, he just kind of feels like, hi, I'm here too. And they're like, who are you at all? Like, what is going on?
Right.
I don't know. Just feels a little weird. Plus, it's the real thing is, it's the car.
The car bothers you? So if he was on the motorcycle, it'd be fine.
Motorcycle, a little better, but like, the conveyance is always an issue, where it's like, Iron Man flies, and there's some flyers on the team, but his method of transportation is a suit.
Right.
So they all can get in the Quinjet if they need to. But like, are we going to get a ramp and let Robbie drive the bike or car into the Quinjet? Is he going to meet us there?
So you're saying you would have preferred if Cosmic Ghost Rider was the Ghost Rider of the Avengers, since he pretty much has a space bike, kind of.
Well, the problem with Cosmic Ghost Rider is he's also like a Deadpool character. Like,
yeah, he is.
And didn't he fight the Avengers?
Yeah, he did. In the Ghost Rider arc, they did.
Right. So it's like, with him, regardless of the bike, he's a problem. Like, he's an antagonist.
The problem that they had with the battle is he was too powerful. Like, he was throwing Thor through walls and stuff like that. It's like, okay.
Exactly. That's not going to work. But again, like, the bike, still, it's kind of cumbersome. It's big. It's really about aesthetics, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get hung up on the details here. But the car makes it complicated. If the car were the Avenger, that'd be a little different. Like, if Kit were an Avenger, that's like, listen, this is who I am. But it's like, listen, I drive the car.
I have to stop you there. So you're stating you have a problem with Robbie Reyes having a car, but if Knight Rider was the Avenger, you're cool with it.
Knight Rider isn't a character. It's Michael Knight. He drives the car. The car's called Kit. There is no Knight Rider, which doesn't make any sense either.
You know what I was talking about. You know what I was referencing.
If Kit were an Avenger, that'd be one thing. They'd have to make concessions and allotments for him. That's who he is. But you know they do an arc where Vision built a body for Kit, and now he's a robot. Who can love.
We're going to move on.
That's fair. We should have moved on 5 minutes ago. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't even know where this is going. So Annihilation Scourge. Silver Surfer with a powerless Bob Reynolds after he and the Void separate, and the Void took his powers into the Cancerverse. I have not been following Scourge at all.
I didn't read it, so it's just a lot of stuff that happens for me. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to follow Annihilation, but I keep forgetting it's a thing, so I'm not reading any of it.
Same.
Yeah. And then our last big topic is Fantastic Four 17 shows the Overseer, the leader of Spire, was the one to create the Fantastic Four. What?
Yeah, apparently, like, basically Reed reveals, like, no, my shields were functioning. Like, we should have been protected from cosmic rays, but the Overseer was weaponizing cosmic rays and made them too strong and too powerful. He's the guy who used the cosmic rays and inadvertently created the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Like, the Overseer amplified it, and so and I'm like, you know what? If you're going to do that kind of retcon, for me, it's not so horrible. It's not like the Overseer was like, and then I'm going to make the Fantastic Four. No, he accidentally made the Fantastic Four. It's still an accident.
Right. We're still, the same concept is still there.
It's not nearly as bad as if, like, let's say, the Spider
Tony
God...
Stark her brother?
What's that?
You gave Tony Stark her brother and made him an alien?
That sucks. I was going to say, like, if the Spider God sends his emissary as a tiny spider to go bite Peter Parker and make him into Spider-Man, like, that's too much like architecture. Most of it, it's about how anyone can be a superhero. No one chooses to be one because that life sucks.
Right.
Great power, great responsibility.
With the Fantastic Four in general, and even Dan Slott going over to it,
yeah,
they still are boring. Like, I tried to get into them again. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I got into Hickman. No one else did a good Fantastic Four run. Dan Slott, I loved his Amazing Spider-Man. I know it's very divisive, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I like some of it.
I think towards the end, you could definitely tell at the ending, he's like, I really just want to do Iron Man, guys. Can I do Iron Man? And they're like, no. And he's like, okay, well, I asked.
Right. Okay. Well, then I'm just going to keep doing it anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to do Iron Man, but it's going to be called Peter Parker. So
yeah, dumb Iron Man. Here we go.
Yeah, but
with Fantastic Four,
he never really made them that interesting for me. He didn't make it come back. The first
weird,
arc was a fun callback arc, but it didn't like entice me to be like, man, they're so cool again, and they're not popping up in anything.
No, it's weird that no one's using them.
That's what I mean. Like, they're not coming in any crossovers. They like we did the Absolute Carnage. We used the Thing and had Maker, but Reed didn't show up at all. Like, they didn't even call, hey, Reed, we got an alternate version of you here. You sure you don't want to come say hi and chat with this guy?
Right. You probably should. It's kind of important.
They're not being used in any of these things. They're not popping up anywhere. They haven't shown up in the Avengers at any point. No one's even referenced the Fantastic Four in the Avengers.
They did show up in House of X.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, because Hickman got a Hickman, Like, I'm not going to not... Like, literally, the X-Men, the only super team they bump into is the Fantastic Four.
It's just weird that I don't find their individual stories interesting, but not only on top of that, no one's really using them. They're not showing up anywhere.
We finally got them back, and no one cares.
Yeah. Even the writers don't. And I also never hear the fans or anybody hitting me up going, Benny, when are you going to cover that new Fantastic Four? Hey, Benny, what happened? What do you think about the latest Fantastic Four reveal? Hey, what did you think about this latest issue? No one brings them up.
I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing equal silence about the Fantastic Four currently.
No one asks me to cover them. I'm getting questioned. Do X-Men. Can you do X-Men? Did you read this latest issue over here? Did you do this? Cover this. Cover that.
Yeah.
No one mentions the Fantastic Four.
No. The Fantastic Four, it's a tough nut to crack. It's a hard row to hoe. Like, the Fantastic Four, if you do it wrong, it's very wrong. And if you do it right, only the people who love the Fantastic Four are going to notice.
Right.
And with this, it's like, I'm not really hyped about it. I read a few issues and just dropped off because ultimately it didn't matter as much to me. And I was worried because, like, the Fantastic Four should matter. They are important, and I love those characters, and I love stories about them. And, most of them are by John Byrne or Claremont. But for the most part, the Fantastic Four should be relevant in the Marvel Universe. They are the first family of Marvel, and they represent a lot of positives about Marvel.
Since bringing them back, they haven't gotten back into that role. Because pre-removing them, they still popped up all over the place.
Yeah. I think, you know why? I think it's because they don't have a hungry author. You need somebody who's like, I need to write Fantastic Four. You have... I've heard Duggan, Zub, and Aaron all fought each other to get Conan. That means we're going to do all of those because those are some great authors, and we have the Conan license back. So we're going to... And three hungry, good, well-selling authors all want to write Conan. Here you go.
Right, yeah. And I'm liking the Conan stuff they're doing.
Right. No one is tripping over themselves to write Fantastic Four.
I don't know. It's sad. I really feel like they should become as important as they once were.
if you read Marvel and 2-in-1, which was one of the best Marvel books of, like, I think 2018, by Zdarsky, that was the best Fantastic Four book I had read in years. And clearly Zdarsky didn't want to do a Fantastic Four book because they didn't give it to him.
Yeah.
And it could be because they wanted to keep, maybe it's an appeasement. You know, if Slott was going to stay at Marvel, we got to give him Tony Stark, we got to give him the Fantastic Four. I don't know. But I also would not want Zdarsky on Fantastic Four if he didn't want to write it. And that's the thing, is that I don't think they have anybody at Marvel who wants to write Fantastic Four, who has enough name cachet to sell Fantastic Four. And with that combination, all you got left is Dan Slott being like, how about this? And it's like,
I do want a quick comment, because Tevye won't be quiet in our Twitch chat, because this does air live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can jump in, correct us, help fix issues as we're going through.
Sure.
There is a team up coming up with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, but no one cares. It's Hickman because he likes it. Hickman, like, no one else is using them, and I guess, like, Hickman is Fantastic Four is Slott. Hickman loves the Fantastic Four. Anybody who wants to give that team up, he'll greenlight it.
It could be that Hickman wants to use Franklin and has big plans for the Fantastic Four.
Crossovers being written by Zdarsky. But
that's great.
But what I'm saying is the X-Men is Hickman. Everything has to be greenlit through Hickman on that.
Yeah.
So
but it could be that maybe Hickman has a plan, and so Slott's kind of like stuck writing banal Fantastic Four stories.
But the point I'm making is we're on issue 17.
Yeah.
If this is issue 5 and they're like, oh, the crossover's happening, you know, like, oh, okay, we're getting them back in. We're on 17. And the only reason I even know about this retcon to their origins because Dan put it in our notes.
Same here. I'll be honest with you. Same deal. I didn't hear, I've heard very little to zero chatter about the Fantastic Four.
That's what I mean. Like, they changed Spider-Gwen's costume. It's on 8,000 news outlets. They retcon Fantastic Four's origin, and I don't hear crap about it. Like,
by the way,
and
don't change
PewDiePie goes on
Spider-Gwen's
vacation, and like 500 things are writing about that.
I know. By the way, don't change Spider-Gwen's costume. What are you doing? That's why she's a character.
Well, they changed it back. They did change it back. But when they changed it to Gwenom, and now it's back to the way it was.
Oh, yeah. Well, a Gwenom variant, you know, she gets the costume, you get a variant version of it. That's fair. But, like, don't change it. Don't
Gwenom went on for
take sleeves out. Don't screw that up. That's the only thing.
Gwenom went on for a very long time, for the record.
Yeah. I remember being like,
Gwenom wasn't a
really?
variant 3 issues. Gwenom was like, this is the outfit.
Right. That's fair. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it. What do you think?
Yeah, that's fair. Are you hyped for Superman Red Sun? Did you see the trailer?
No, I didn't. That's why I wasn't going to bring it up as a topic.
Oh, okay, sorry. Fair enough.
What did you think about it? It's fine. What did you think about it?
It's fine. Like, it looks like the standard fare from DC animation. It looks like they're keeping everything. So, because it's really short anyway. So,
yeah.
I'm hyped. Hyped is a very strong word for DC animation today. Though I will say, I don't know if you've watched Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn has been amazing.
It's unbelievably solid. I'm like, wow.
My favorite character so far has been Kite Man and Bane.
I love that they're like, oh,
this far.
I love they kept his dumb voice. I think Kaylee Cuoco is really doing a great job with it. I love the voice for Poison Ivy as well. I love their relationship.
Lake Bell. I had to look her up.
They're both like that. That's what I want to see more of. It's just I want to see Harley and Ivy doing their thing. It's just great. I'm like, this is a great show.
I love Harley. I was trying to place it for the longest time with Lake Bell. She reminds me of like a Daria character.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
because
Harley, are we really doing this? And like,
she has almost no connection to humanity. So you know, I love it. I was like, this is cool. And Gordon is like, yeah, that's what Gordon would be like if he had to live in Gotham. He's just constantly on edge.
Dan's nodding his head. I think he wants to agree with you on this one.
Gordon is just like, I'm freaking out. It's like, yeah, man, you are freaking out. You're in a city of monsters. It's cool. It's a good show. Good for you, DC.
No, I completely agree. The perfect representation of the Commissioner in that show is fantastic. And Poison Ivy's the best.
Yes.
Right?
I love Poison Ivy's plant that jumps in just to correct things she's saying.
Oh my God.
The Venus flytrap or whatever.
Yeah. He feels... yeah, it's great. It's great stuff.
I'm gonna blow up the Gotham Stadium.
Oh my God. Oh, good show.
The show's great. Yeah, I love it. And honestly, it's continuing the trend that DC Universe is quite obviously meant to be a This is the darker, edgier version of DC that you're not going to get anywhere else, but you won't.
They're really leaning into it, which is exactly what they should do.
Which also confirms what I was thinking, that because a lot of people are like, Zack Snyder ruined it. Zack Snyder made it dark. I wasn't against what Zack Snyder was doing at all. I liked the Zack Snyder universe. But since the DC universe is also dark, edgy, cussing, nudity, it's like, yeah, DC wants to do this, guys. This isn't Zack Snyder came in and said, let's make a dark and edgy DC universe. It's like DC said, let's make a dark and edgy DC universe.
Has anyone read Infinite Crisis? Like, yeah, they've been doing that for a while. Like, DC has been pushed in the direction of, like, yeah, I know that Superman's a beacon for hope and Wonder Woman is all about truth and all that stuff, but like, what if she snapped people's necks and Superman murdered people? Like, it's what they want.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's room for both. It's just don't forget about the other stuff.
So, all right, well, let's go and wind up there because I gotta take off because of the holidays. Got stuff to do today.
Oh yeah, nonstop. Yeah.
But Sal, thank you so much for an incredible year.
My pleasure.
I do want to say we've been doing this now since September. The show has come back strong. We have not missed any major. I've only missed holidays, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
And I am still super excited to be doing the show. And part of that is because of the amazing audience we have at the live show, twitch.tv/comicstorian on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and your amazing reactions over on the YouTube. I feel like they are far less bashing you and me. I don't know why. Maybe
That's
because
nice.
we're the only two left.
I mean, you know, it's going to be 50%, or 100. They're going to even hate one or both of us.
But I want to take a moment, at least for me, and I know you do too, Sal. But for me, I want to thank everyone who watches this, listens to us, gives us ratings, participates in the discussion, tells us that we're wrong and need to be corrected. That's what makes this show fun. It's a community of me, Sal, and all of you guys coming together to discuss shows, movies, comic books, and just have a good time. And I love it. And this show has been a blast. And part of me is sad we're taking 2 weeks off. Other part of me is like, it'd be very hard to do this on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. But
that's the thing, is logistically, that's the only reason we're doing it.
Yeah.
But like, no, I like this show. I'm having a great time. I'm so glad that you suggested we do this. You were like, hey, let's do another show. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. And it turns out, yeah, you were right. It was a great idea. We've been having a great time. We're working great together. I'm having a blast. And the audience has spoken. I mean, we were talking about this earlier, just like the fact that like the audience likes it. So, you know, we're on to something here.
I mean, that was our big concern, is that you guys, like after the weekly polls, I mean, Sal and I both agree the last year of the weekly poll, everyone was kind of phoning it in. So after, I'd say about a year and a half of the weekly poll not being the real weekly poll, we had an open concern that there would be no audience left for this and no one would be interested in it. So the fact that there are so many people watching us live, so many people have come back, watching the VODs, watching the YouTube, you guys, you really have made this something special for us, and we really do appreciate that. And thank you so much.
Thank you all. We're really
if you
lucky to
are
have you.
watching this, you can support the show directly by subbing right here at Twitch. That is what funds the show, keeps it going. Along with Sal's Patreon and my Patreon, you can support your favorite host directly. Both of those do get early access to the Absolute Comics before it hits YouTube. You can also go to our sponsor G Fuel if you want to get 10% to 30% off, depending when you use the code. Use the code COMICS to get your code there. That is a great thing. I know it's kind of terrible to be like, thank you so much. Segue into how to support the show. But I got to do my job, you know.
Plus, support the show. You know, if you like it, help us out.
And if you did miss it, we did finally film Salpernatural. Sal watched the first 3 episodes, and now I have to do Gilmore Bros. I have to watch the first 3 episodes of Gilmore Girls. And so that'll be fun.
Yeah, well, I think it's on Netflix, so I think you're good.
Okay, so at least I don't have to go like pirate it or nothing.
No.
But either way, thank you guys so much. We'll try to find time for a Star Wars and a Doomsday Clock episode, but I can't promise that. They might both just be talked about once we get back from the vacation. But thank you guys so much. I hope you all had a great year. I know we did, and it's entirely because of you guys, so thank you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You want to say anything else, Sal, before we close out for the year?
No,
this is the end of the year.
I know. And we've only been doing it since September, but it feels like we've been doing it for a year. Like it feels like just an extension of our lives now. Like this is just yet another thing we make, and it's another excellent thing. Like that. Like it doesn't feel like we're phoning it in. It doesn't feel like we're wasting time. Like it just feels like this is the show that we like making, and we're so lucky to have you watching it, because otherwise, you know, just me and Benny on the phone. So, but thank you all so much for being here and for watching the show. We're really, really lucky to have you, and we're looking forward to seeing where the show goes and where you're going to take us in 2020.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much. We're going to close at the show now. And if you're watching live, we're going to be doing a raid on another member of Sal's team, his wife. But I'm trying to be like, you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys. We'll close at the show.